Maybe ask the Secretariat to kindly note the members raising their hands who are manifesting to be made co-authors of the same.
Mr. President, I move that all members here present be made co-authors as well.
So moved by the distinguished Majority Floor Leader. Hearing no objection, same is hereby approved.
Mr. President, I move that we suspend consideration of Senate Bill number 2583. So moved, Mr. President.
Hearing no objection, same is hereby approved.
Mr. President, with the consent of the body, I move that we transfer from the calendar for ordinary business to the calendar for special orders Committee Report number 260 on Senate Bill 2690. This is the bill on the Bacoor Assembly of 1898 Act. Mr. President.
Hearing no objection, the same is hereby approved. Secretary General is directed to read the title of the measure.
An act declaring August 1 of every year a special working holiday to be known as the Araw ng Paglalathala at Pagtatanyag ng Kasarinlan ng Pilipinas.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, to sponsor the measure, I move to recognize Senator Lauren Ligada, Chairperson of the Committee on Culture and Arts, to deliver the sponsorship speech.
Senator Ligarda is recognized. You may proceed, ma'am.
Mr. President, my esteemed colleagues, I proudly proclaim today, just as 200 of our forebears did at a very important assembly in 1898, a momentous day in Philippine history. Through this August chamber, the present generation acknowledges a significant event in our past that was nearly consigned to the dustbins of history as a minor footnote. I am referring to the Bacoor Assembly that transpired on August 1, 1898, during the tumultuous days of our struggle for independence. This event was erroneously dubbed by previous historians as ratification of independence. But the truth is, the Bacoor Assembly was convened in order to publish and to let our independence be known to the world. Apolinario Mabini wrote and prepared the Acta de Independencia, signed by around 200 elected local officials representing 16 provinces. President Emilio Aguinaldo approved the said Act of Independence, which was eventually disseminated worldwide. The Malolos Congress ratified such an important document on September 29, 1898. The Acta was a product of a series of events when Emilio Aguinaldo returned to the Philippines on May 19, 1898 from exile in Hong Kong. We started to taste the Filipino victory in the Battle of Alapan on May 28, 1898. Town by town, Filipinos achieved a string of victories over the Spaniards, leading President Aguinaldo to proclaim our independence on June 12, 1898, introducing our national flag and national anthem. These events were followed by decrees constituting our national and local governments, and later the swearing-in of municipal presidents on August 1, 1898 in Bacoor. After they took their oath, Apolinario Mabini presented them the Act of Independence, which they unanimously approved. Allow me to quote the August 1, 1898 Act of Independence with minor modifications for better appreciation. Ang mga punong napipirma sa ibaba na nahalal sa mga bayang nasasakop ng mga probinsya o kabayanang nakatala sa huli ayon sa ipinagbibilin sa utos ng ika-18 at tagubiling ng ika-20 ng Hunyong nagdaan na mapagtibay na sa kani-kanilang katungkulan ng presidente ng gobyerno at magawa sa harap nito ang panunumpang nauukol ay nagkatipon sa isang malaking kapisanan upang mapagpulungan ang paglathala at pagtatanyag ng kasarinlan ng Pilipinas. This beginning paragraph clearly explains the nature and purpose of August 1, 1898 Act of Independence, an act of duly elected local officials deliberating our freedom and making our independence known to the world. I am very thankful that this significant event in our history will be properly commemorated as an equally important event during our campaign for independence. I would like to thank the author of this bill, In the lower house, Congresswoman Lani Mercado Revilla. The author of the bill in the Senate, Senator Ramon Bong Revilla Jr. The National Historical Commission of the Philippines Chairperson, Lisa Guerrero Nakpil, and of course all the members of the board of the NHCP for actively participating in scrutinizing the bill, and the collaboration of the Bacoor City and the Bacoor Historical Society. Worth mentioning is Dr. Emmanuel F. Calairo, immediate past chairperson of the NHCP, for marking this forgotten phase in our struggle for freedom. Finally, I would like to thank my colleagues at the Senate for extending your steadfast support for this measure. Thank you for very much at isang makasaysayang gabi sa ating lahat.
Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President, I move that we suspend consideration. Yes. My colleague from, my kababayan from Cavite is seeking the floor, Mr. President.
The gentleman from Cavite is recognized. Would you like to submit your co-sponsorship or deliver it?
I'll deliver it. Okay lang.
The gentleman may proceed if he can manage.
For the Bacoreños, just a short.
Senator Revilla is recognized. You may
Okay.
proceed, sir.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise today to co-sponsor Senate Bill number 2690, or an act declaring August 1 of every year a special working holiday to be known as the Araw ng Paglalathala at Pagtatanyag ng Kasarinlan ng Pilipinas. We thank Senator Loren Legarda, our true cultural champion, for shepherding this measure. Ma'am, thank you very much. Bilang isang tubong Cavite at taga Bacoor, malalim po ang ating pagpapahalaga ukol sa mga kaganapan at na pumapalibot sa pagbawi ng ating mga ninunong bayani sa kasarinlan at kalayaan ng ating bayan. In our veins run the blood that our forefathers shed, the blessings of freedom and peace that we enjoy today. Kung kaya't isang malaking karangalan po na maisulong sa bulwagang ito ang panukalang pinagtitibay ang ating pagkakalinlanlan bilang isang malayang bayan. At bahagi ng ating pagbabalik tanaw ay ang pagpapahalaga sa mga pangyayari tungo sa Pilipinas na mayroon tayo ngayon. Ang ating pagkilala sa unang araw ng Agosto kada taon bilang isang special working holiday ay simbolo ng pagbubuklat sa mga pahina ng ating mayamang kasaysayan. Ito ay bunga ng pag-aaral at pagsasaliksik ng ating mga eksperto. At ang tanging layunin natin ay kilalanin ang papel na ginampanan ng Bacoor Assembly 1898 sa pagpapalaya ng bayang binihag ng mga banyaga. Bawat yugto ng ating kasaysayan ay ang pundasyon siya namang tinutungtungan ng ating bukas. At ang paglingon natin sa mga aral ng nakalipas ang ating kalasag tungo sa patuloy na pag-alab ng apoy ng pagmamahal sa bayan ay lagi nating handang pag-alayan ng ating dugo at buhay. Kalakip po ng pagbubunyi sa araw na ito ay ang hiling mula sa buong kapulungan na suportahan din ng panukalang ito upang bigyang pugay ang kabanatang ito sa ating kasaysayan at ang kagitingan at kadakilaan ng mga bayaning tumindig upang maiwagayway ang taas noo at buong tapang ang bandila ng ating kasarinlan. Mulit-muli po ang ating paninindigan, kalayaan, kasaysayan at kultura. Ito ang mga bantayan ng ating pagka-Pilipino. Maraming salamat po.
The Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I likewise ask that I be made a co-sponsor of this landmark bill coming from our great province of Cavite, Mr. President.
Manifestation of the Majority Leader is noted.
Mr. President, I move that we suspend consideration of Senate Bill 2690.
There is a motion. Hearing no objection, same is hereby approved.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, with the consent of this body, I move that we transfer from the calendar for ordinary business to the calendar for special orders Committee Report number 261 on House Bill 10048. This is the bill granting Philippine citizenship to Aleksandr Korovin. Mr. President.
There is a motion. Hearing no objection, same is hereby approved. Secretary General is directed to read the title of the measure.
An act granting Philippine citizenship to Aleksandr Sergeyevich Korovin.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move that I be recognized, may I be recognized to deliver the sponsorship speech, Mr. President.
The Majority Leader is recognized.
Mr. President, as chairman, a former chairman of the Committee on Justice and Human Rights, it is with great pride and honor that I stand before this chamber to sponsor House Bill 10048, taking into consideration Senate Bill 2641, a measure that will grant Filipino citizenship to Mr. Aleksandr Sergeyevich Korovin. Mr. President, kakaunti po nakakilala kay Mr. Korovin, pero sa dami po ng kanyang medalya, ginagamit po ang bandera ng Pilipinas, ang bandila ng Pilipinas, siya po ay kilalang-kilala na ng ating mga kabataang Pilipino. Having been a winner of the Grand Prix medal, a silver medal from the 28th Skate America, the International Skating Union Challenger Series, Mr. President, among others. We heard his name resoundingly when he represented the Philippine flag on international stage alongside his new partner, Filipina skater Isabela Gomez. Despite their brief skating together, Korovin and Gomez have rapidly ascended their ranks, currently holding the 18th spot in the world. They are trailblazers, being the first pair to secure international medal for the Philippines, earning the Trophée Métropole Nicole Côte d'Azur in France in October 2022. Together, they are making history as the first pair from Southeast Asia to qualify and compete in the World Figure Skating Championships event last 2023, one step closer to qualifying to the 2026 Winter Olympics, the ultimate goal for sports. But there is more about Mr. Korovin. During the naturalization process, hearings, Mr. President, this representation presided over, Mr. Korovin expressed, and I quote, I would like to state Russian skater.
Don't listen to me.
I should have presented a PowerPoint, but because of the physical fatigue of this representation, I forgot to prepare that. I would like to quote during the hearing, Mr. President, what he said. I would like to state that me seeking Filipino citizenship is not just for sports. I really want to become a Filipino, and I love the Philippines. And of course, I will give all my best to bring glory and pride to the Philippines. He's currently a resident of Muntinlupa City, Metro Manila, Mr. President. He further stated his willingness to work with groups here in the Philippines in training young children and helping them reach their full potential to achieve their goals. Mr. President, I will submit into the records an expanded version of my sponsorship speech. My esteemed colleagues, I seek your full support in this measure. Let us welcome Mr. Korovin not just as a citizen, but as a beacon of hope and an excellence for the Philippines. Mabuhay po ang Philippine sports. Mr. President.
Mr. President, if I may, just very quick manifestation, Mr. President.
The sponsorship speech of
I am not co-sponsoring, Mr. President. I would just like to state into the
Senator
record,
Villanueva is recognized.
because I have not seen or witnessed sponsorship on citizenship without seeing the person asking for citizenship, Mr. President. So I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, if this is the first time that I am experiencing this. I'm not objecting, Mr. President, but I'd like to just put on record, Mr. President, my reservation, Mr. President. But I am not objecting, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President.
We thank the magnanimity of the gentleman from Bulacan.
Baka po kasi maging mayor din ng Banban yon, Mr. President.
And his remarks are duly noted.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader.
the applicant whose measure originated from the House was here during the several hearings. He just have to undergo continuous training somewhere in Russia because we don't have snow and ice here in the Philippines, Mr. President, considering the El Nino. But he still maintains his residence in Alabang, Muntinlupa, Mr. President. But rest assured, the gentleman from Bulacan, during the period of amendments, Mr. President, we will require Mr. Korovin to be present, Mr. President.
Thank you, distinguished Majority Floor Leader. What is your pleasure with respect to
Mr.
this
President, I move that we suspend consideration of House Bill number 10048. Mr. President.
There being no objection, same is hereby approved.
Mr. President, two of our colleagues are seeking the floor. If
Mr. President, 2 minutes lang.
Senator Grace Poe.
Senator Grace Poe is recognized. You may proceed, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. President. Earlier, I delivered manifestation actually recognizing the leadership of the